our legal system's been taken away from us by both political parties, mostly the Democrats, who have, frankly, gone off the rails. Socialists, communists, atheists, you name it. That's what they are. And the Republicans, of which, I'm still nominally registered as one, I just haven't had time to quit. They become a money fundraising operation. That's it.
Hi everyone, this is Veronica Kirilenko of the New American Magazine. Joe Biden, a fierce critic of President Donald Trump's alleged mishandling of classified documents, now finds himself in hot water. It was reported last week that batches of classified documents from the Obama presidency were found improperly stored by Joe Biden. Attorney General Merrick Garland announced Thursday that Special Counsel Robert Hur will lead the investigation into the matter. What is known so far about the story and what's the meaning of it? It's my privilege to speak today with Larry Klayman, a brilliant lawyer and writer who is also the founder and former chairman of the successful nonprofit foundation Judicial Watch and the current chairman of Freedom Watch. Mr. Klayman has recently published a book titled It Takes a Counter-Revolution, Wake Up America. Larry, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome. Call me Larry. I appreciate that. I'll call you Veronica. My pleasure to be here. My honor.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Larry, would you please provide an overview of the timeline of the story?
The story goes way back to Hunter Biden. Of course, we know from his computer that he was laundering money to his father. Also a witness, Tony Bobolinsky, who came forward, that was Hunter Biden's partner for a while, saying that Joe Biden was going to get 10% of laundered money from communist China, from Russia, and from Ukraine before President Zelensky came to power and a new government. And fast forward, this has never been really investigated by our Justice Department, which has been turned into a Gestapo, frankly, under Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, and the FBI Director, Christopher Wray. We know what's going on with the January 6th peaceful protesters. They're being persecuted, thrown in prison without bail, forced to make confessions they don't want to make to lessen jail time. This is the Justice Department, and they've covered up for Joe Biden and what he has done. So along comes this disclosure that there were documents taken out of the White House when he was vice president. That's when this bribery was going on. And I suspect that those documents were on Hunter's laptop. That's my guess. And I suspect that Hunter was probably selling classified information to the Chinese, the Russians, and the prior Ukrainian government, people like that.
Do we know it for sure? Because Joe Biden said he doesn't, naturally, he said that he doesn't recall what exactly do these documents contain. So, and then the CNN reported that the contents were related to Iran, the United Kingdom, and Ukraine, but nobody knows for sure what exactly they contain.
That's right. And we'll never find out completely in terms of what the government is doing, because it was very clever in an evil way to appoint a special counsel. Once that happens, everything goes into a sinkhole, goes into the dark. And the government then says, well, we're not going to tell you anything. We're not going to disclose anything because it's now subject to a criminal investigation. This went on years ago when I helped uncover the Chinagate scandal at Judicial Watch, which I founded, when we wanted information about the Clintons' dealings with China. It was then being investigated by an independent counsel out of Miami. So they played that game. And this is the game they're playing. Now, here's what we're doing, Veronica, which is unique. At Freedom Watch, we have what's called citizens' grand juries. In 1992, the late Justice Scalia of the Supreme Court wrote a majority opinion, United States versus Williams, where he said the grand jury belongs to the American people, not the three branches of government. We have the right to indict, to try, to seek convictions, to sentence, and to carry out those sentences. In 48 states, there's a right of citizens' arrest. There is no doubt that Joe Biden has committed bribery at a minimum. We also are trying him for negligent homicide in Afghanistan. He killed 10 innocent Afghan allies with their young children, 1 3 years old, because he wanted to look tough after 13 GIs were killed at Kabul airport. We're in the process of trying them. You can see excerpts at freedomwatchusa.org. And we intend to hold him accountable. And I'm convinced we will get a conviction shortly. We'll then ask the judge to sentence him, and we'll ask police and the military to carry it out. It's time the American people did it for themselves. The Republicans are just doing a dog and pony show. They have no power. They can't force anyone to come before a committee and testify. Only the Gestapo of a Biden Justice Department can do that. They can't indict Biden or Hunter or his brother James, who were part of the bribery scheme, because only the Gestapo of a Biden Justice Department can do that. And this is the way it's been for decades. Yeah. You're probably too young to remember all of it, but it's always been covered up. And the only people that ever get held accountable are lower level people. And then these special counsels say, oh, we did our job. And this happened recently with John Durham, with the investigation of what went on with Russiagate. He just indicted a few low level people, and that was it. And the one person he went after and tried the case, it didn't plead out, a rabidly leftist District of Columbia jury acquitted the guy. So this is what you're dealing with right now, and we don't have a legal system anymore. And I hope people will go to freedomwatchusa.org, contribute to our cause. We need tax-deductible contributions. Republicans have siphoned away a lot of that during the campaign, but they just make empty promises. We know that. And it's time for the American people to rise up.
True. Sir, I would like to ask you about the differences in two cases of alleged mishandling of misinformation. Or, all last week, legacy media preoccupied themselves with explaining to the public how the Trump and Biden document discoveries were marked by several clear distinctions. For example, CNN said that Biden only possessed a small number of classified documents compared to Trump, and that unlike Trump, Biden's team agreed to cooperate with his own administration's DOJ and National Archives. How would you describe the differences in those two cases?
Well, there are a lot of big differences. Number one, President Trump was president when he removed those documents. He had the ability to declassify the documents. Number two, the documents were kept at Mar-a-Lago, which were guarded by the Secret Service, so they were secure. Number three, it's a witch hunt against President Trump to destroy him. However, with Biden, he took them 6 years ago. They've been sitting apparently in the trunk of his Corvette, of his car, God knows where else, on Hunter's laptop. And when they say they're cooperating, that means nothing. Cooperating with who? Mm-hmm. Your own Justice Department that you control, that's going to bury the entire thing. So there will be no justice. The American people will never know all of the facts. We have enough facts right now, Veronica. We know what went on with regard to Hunter and the bribery from communist China, Ukraine, and Russia. We know that. And you don't need more to even conduct a citizen's arrest than that. We have the right to arrest Biden, but we're not going to do that. We're going to get a conviction, and we will ask law enforcement to carry it out. And at least we'll educate the American people that the rights belong to us like they did on July 4th, 1776, when we declared independence. That was one of the big reasons, was the king took our legal system away from us. Our legal system's been taken away from us by both political parties, mostly the Democrats, who have, frankly, gone off the rails, socialists, communists, atheists, you name it. That's what they are. And the Republicans, of which, I'm still nominally registered as one, I just haven't had time to quit, they become a money fundraising operation. That's it. And when they get elected, they don't balance the budget. They don't reform Obamacare. They don't give us the clarion call on Afghanistan and what was going to happen in Ukraine. American people are not being represented anymore. And that's why, if you go to our website at freedomwatchusa.org, you'll see we have a Third Continental Congress where we have delegates meeting to vote on whether to declare independence and to form a new government, not a new nation. We need a new government. And we need more political parties. And we need to take immunity away from government officials like Merrick Garland, Justice Department, and Christopher Wray, at the FBI who have subverted the rule of law. And then we have judges who just rubber stamp, much like King George III's judges did. They just rubber stamp what the establishments want because they were put there with political campaign contributions, otherwise known as bribery. They got there because lobbyists, big law firms, big labor unions, etc., greased the skids so they would be nominated as judges. These are not people, generally speaking, particularly in Washington, D.C., with any independence or integrity. There are some good judges around the country. They get in there by accident. But in D.C., that's the most corrupt court in the United States, the federal court there. I've practiced there for 45 years, so I know.
I'd like to ask you this as well. It's quite strange to see presidents' lawyers finding portions of the documents now and then, given that Biden possessed them, like you said, for the last 6 or 7 years. So not surprisingly, people are wondering about the timing of the events. There have been talks that Biden's circle is trying to prevent him from running in 2024. How close to the truth are such speculations, in your opinion?
Well, here's the irony, is that I believe the Democrats would like Biden gone. They know that he has a hard time communicating. He's essentially brain dead at this point. I mean, his mind is gone. I did a little check in the last few days as to the IQs of presidents, and Biden ranks slightly above me mentally retarded. I hate to say it. It's true. He's not very smart. He had to plagiarize on a number of occasions when he tried to run for president, had to quit. So I think they would like to see him gone. But you see, and I don't think he would have run again, but for the fact that he's now under a special counsel investigation, which gives him insulation because he is president. People have theorized that about President Trump, too, that he announced to be president because that way he could portray it as a political hit, by the Democrats. It is a political hit by the Democrats. But Trump was smart. I think that's primarily why he did announce again, because it makes it more difficult to prosecute him. They'll do it anyway. The Democrats know no bounds. But that's why I think Biden will run, because to protect him and his son, he then will keep control of the Justice Department if he wins. And here's the scary part, Veronica, is that the way the Democrats have so corrupted the electoral system, controlling a lot of the state legislatures with these mail-in ballots and everything else, the fraud that went on. I still believe that President Trump was elected, that it was a fraudulent election.
No doubt.
But the scary part is that, and I predict this, let's remember a few years from now, and because the American public is still uneducated, not your listeners and viewers, not my supporters, I think Gavin Newsom will be elected under this current government as the next president. That's my belief. I think he will push Biden aside. He's an attractive guy. He stands for nothing. He can morph into any size or shape or political ideology that he wants. He has no morals or ethics, none. But he is very attractive, and he has this Kennedy-like appeal to him. Although Kennedy, in today's world, probably would have been a conservative, John F. Kennedy. Mm-hmm. But this is the sad part of it, is that the American people need to wake up. And that's the subtitle of my book. It takes a counter-revolution, Wake Up America. They need to look around because our country is nearly destroyed after 2 years of Biden. Another 2 years, there may be nothing left with this guy.
What do you think they will do to Kamala Harris?
They'll move her aside. Maybe someone will retire or die at the Supreme Court. God forbid, they'll make her a Supreme Court justice, because she's not exactly a rocket scientist either.
To put it mildly.
Yeah, I think
you're very kind to her.
I think in the last week she was really spending her time thinking about yellow school buses. That was her focus in the last week. Before that, it was, and I'm of Ukrainian descent, by the way, talking about Russia's a very big country. Russia attacked a little country. Mm-hmm. This isn't fair. I mean, explain what's going on over there. Not like you're 2 years old. I mean, this is who you're dealing with. They'll get rid of her. They'll move her out, so the Democrats aren't accused of racism, because they'll play that card. The left. if they move her out. Black Lives Matter will play it, radical black groups will play it. So they'll give her another job, basically.
Sir, so do you see the scandal as another wake-up call for Americans to participate in a legal and peaceful counter-revolution as described in your book?
Yes. Yes, I do. And this is why, and I hope people will go. I know I'm pitching myself right now and Freedom Watch, but we really need the help financially. People can go to freedomwatchusa.org and donate. You'll get a copy of my book if you donate, more than $50. We'll send it to you for free. But I wrote this book not to make money, but I wrote it to say that we need to do more than just investigate. We need to do more than just get documents and go on Fox News. We need to actually enforce the rule of law ourselves, and we need to create a new government with honest leaders. Charles de Gaulle, in World War II, when the Nazis invaded France and took over, he left and went to London. He set up a shadow government in waiting. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think we need to do today. And then, of course, when the Nazis were defeated, he came back to France. He's one of the great leaders of the 20th century, Charles de Gaulle.
And it would not be considered an insurrection or any illegal action against the current governments. How do you?
No, let me tell you why. Our Declaration of Independence, I'm paraphrasing. Jefferson was much more eloquent than I am. But it starts off, when in the course of human events, the sovereign, the rulers, no longer represent the people have a right under the laws of nature and nature's God, not the law of the king, not the law of the state, to alter or abolish that government and to form a new government by and for the people with equal rights for everyone in pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. We have that right. When the government fails to represent us, we have the right to start a new government. And I'm not advocating declaring war on this government. We just simply say, okay, we don't recognize you anymore, just like their founding fathers did. We are forming our new government with new political parties, with more political parties, with fine-tune the Constitution to correct some of our founders were enlightened by God, but they weren't God. They made a couple of mistakes. One of the biggest one as a lawyer is having judges appointed by the president with political campaign contributions, which is the way it works. They should be elected. We should elect cabinet officials. Look at the cabinet we have now. It's a freak show, okay?
Literally.
Yeah, Pete Buttigieg spends his time with his male wife and his surrogate kids, and he does nothing about the transportation system, it's or Mayorkas over there at Homeland Security. There's another idiot, okay, over there. Or the press secretary. It looks like she's, an MC on a ride at Disney World. It's beyond belief. I try to put a little humor in Veronica, but it rings true. And so there are people out there, say you got a Sarah Palin, say you got a Tulsi Gabbard, say you got even a Kristen Sinema, who have been turned off by both political parties, want to go their own way, formerly Democrat and Republican, who have developed, a sense that we have to go our own way. Elon Musk may be someone you might want to bring into that. He's got his picadillos, but he's willing to go up against the establishment. Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, 1958. Did you ever read that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Certainly.
She was brilliant. She forecast what was going to happen. We are at Atlas Shrugged right now. Everything's been dumbed down. There's to be no achievement. In the University of California, you can't say we're a country of great achievement because it'll make people feel bad. Okay, this is what we're dealing with. And in that book, an individual by the name of John Galt, who was an industrialist, sees what's going on, how the country is being destroyed by the left. And she wrote that during a time when we thought communism was going to rise. It actually did. Now it's here. It took a while. Mm-hmm. But Galt leaves society, takes people from all walks of life, high-powered people, transportation, in academia, in the sciences, the government officials. He leaves and they go to seek refuge in hiding, waiting for the country to collapse so they can come back and take over, and make things right again. Now, we don't want to see the country collapse, okay? But there's a lot of truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people out there, like Musk, perhaps. We don't know fully what he's about yet, or Trump, or DeSantis. They should leave the Republican Party. They should start a new party. Republican Party will stab them in the back, ultimately. They're trying to stab Trump in the back now. He doesn't know it. He keeps going back and making the same mistake. I love the president, but he makes that mistake. He throws his lot with Kevin McCarthy, now Speaker of the House, who wanted to get him impeached or removed under the 25th Amendment after January 6th. This is a guy you're going to have a deal with, So we need some integrity here, and we need to give the people an alternative. And I believe
this is exactly what you're working on.
Yes, this is what my book's about. And people can go to freedomwatchusa.org. And remember, our founding fathers, you and I weren't around then, but they were a minority. And with the printing press and pamphleteers like Thomas Paine and others, they coalesced the colonies. They got them to understand that while things weren't that bad, in 1776, I mean, we were in better shape then than we are now. And the king, was not half as bad as what we've got leading us today. He just wanted to overtax us to pay for the rest of his empire. That was the basic thing. And take away our legal system so we couldn't complain. But today it's much worse. And as a result, the American people need to snap out of it and wake up, because everything that you see around you is going to be gone if we don't do something right now. So that's why I wrote the book, It Takes a Counter-Revolution, Wake Up America. The one before that, which I published a year and a half earlier, was It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry. But then when the left took over, I updated the book and made It Takes a Counter-Revolution, Wake Up America.
Larry, I would like to thank you so much for your time today. Would you please tell us once again what's the best way to follow and to support your work, and where to get your book?
Yes, they can go to freedomwatchusa.org to support us, freedomwatchusa.org. And you can also get it online, at Amazon.com and other places. And I hope that people will join our Justice League, see what we're doing. We're more than just talk or, getting documents. We actually bring really hard-hitting cases. I have 2 class actions, for instance, for the January 6th protesters. We've sued China over COVID. We'll soon be suing Fauci for all the damage he's done. And he's actually being tried criminally as well. I know I'm taking up all your time, Veronica. You're really a nice person.
No, I truly appreciate it, sir. No, this is a very important information that I want our viewers to know about. Well, that was Larry Klayman, everyone. Thank you for watching, and I'm Veronica Kirilenko of the New American Magazine.
Here's the news, Dad.
Is it, son? Is it?
What about this one, Dad?
Nope. It's hard to tell what's real and what's fake these days. There's just too much baloney out there. At the New American, they cut through the baloney and give me the truth.
The truth is hard to find, but the New American has it. Check it out at thenewamerican.com.